Then I guess what can we talk about? Maybe like house conditions.
Housing conditions, I think they vary. Well, I don't know how they are in. I don't know how they are modern day. I know how they used to be. I already talked about
Yeah,
that.
used to be pretty bad.
Used to be
in a
they were
lot of
really
teams.
bad.
Nowadays better, but can still be.
I mean, I don't know. So I can't really. I mean, in Korea, a lot of teams have now shifted to facilities like this one.
Yeah.
I don't know how the houses themselves are, but I don't think it. In Korea, it's always sort of been the same. You go on YouTube, search Korean house tours.
I mean, I feel like it's improving. Like for example,
It's always
in
improving.
the past, most of the teams didn't even have their like own chefs, or like you had to order food, and
Yep.
that would be a lot of money. Like you have to understand, ordering food. Usually, when you order food, the food delivery is like minimum 10 or something.
Yeah.
And then you have a fee when the guy delivers you. The food's not fresh. It's usually unhealthy as hell.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you spend, let's say you do 2 meals per day. I mean, that's a lot of money per month. It's crazy. But nowadays, I think most teams by now have like actually like food preparation.
Yeah.
Now people are also implementing like gym, yoga, meditation,
Yep.
whatever.
Yep.
Other
There's a
healthy
lot of stuff. I mean, some of the facilities that are NNA are fantastic, but also there's this weird thing where I think that like maybe someone like you or me especially, would appreciate it a lot more than maybe someone who's never known anything else and they just join it for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, it's crazy. I remember Tempo Storm. Tempo Storm was probably my first instance of a well-run team internally.
Yeah.
With like the manager and support staff was like really prompt, really prompt, and it was pretty insane. I remember thinking, so Tempo Storm had meals delivered by a chef every day.
Mm-hmm.
They would come, and then they would go into the fridge, and we had a manager and all this other stuff. And it's sad. Tempo Storm disbanded because of franchising, right? But like Reynad was the most hands-on owner / he was a pro in Hearthstone, right?
Yeah.
So I think he understood, and he was also young. I think he was 27 during Tempo Storm. It was pretty insane. That was my first instance of a good run-in with a house. Yeah, that was nice.
Just so I saw a thing in Twitch chat. A lot of people were asking, why not cook? And I'm like, guys, cooking... yes, technically a player could cook. Not only does it waste you so much time every day, you have to go to shop, you have to actually prepare the food, then you have to clean the food. I mean, it's just not efficient. You don't want to spend this amount of time as a pro player.
You shouldn't have to.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be a standard.
Yeah.
I guess next topic is life as a top level pro versus a bottom tier pro. I mean, we kind of discussed it, but
you might have more sponsorship obligations out of the team.
Oh,
because
yeah.
you're the main figurehead.
Oh yeah, it depends on which team you are at. If you're like a popular team, let's say Fnatic, I mean, you're probably gonna have to do way more content / sponsorship than on a bottom tier team. I mean, you look at like social media, so some of the bottom tier teams they make one video per year, and the video is a joke.
I mean, or you're Immortals, and you make a tweet and then get ratioed by Fudge.
Yeah.
Which is his current.
That one is the.
That's you're. Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, they're down in the dumps when you're getting ratioed by the Fudge factor, but no, I mean he finds that hilarious to do that, but
it's a good one.
I agree that it's pretty weird for sure. I think that top tier pros, depending again on what team you're on, you're gonna have more content that you have to do and more sponsorship plugs and all this other stuff, right? Generally, it's gonna be that way, which is kind of weird, but also at the same time not. Sometimes maybe you get cuts of it. Depending on how it's woven into your contract.
Oh, cuts? I never heard of that.
Okay, well, sometimes you'll get cuts of it, depending on how maybe things are woven into your contract. If you're a bottom tier pro, job security, pretty much 101.
Big
and
Victor
are
Mates.
you best friends with the star of the team?
Yeah, you're best friend with your manager who is gonna create the roster.
Yeah.
Well, you are okay.
Yep.
Next year you're here again.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
So that's pretty much what it is being like a bottom tier player. You're always in danger unless someone else is really fucking up. And if someone else is really fucking up, well, now your job becomes to just not fuck up. And then you stay for another year.
Yeah.
You don't have to actually get good. No, you just gotta play your cards right. Actually, I had a YouTube video on this. It was like LS Logic League of Cards years ago, and it still rings true to modern day League of Legends. Top tier pro players, I think a lot of people think that their lives... Well, sometimes I hear stories of pro players that literally all they do is play their games, barely check their phone, show up for matches, and that's it. I've heard of these stories. Okay. They are so detached from YouTube and Reddit, and it's almost hard to believe.
It's maybe like more Asian, maybe?
No, this was a Western pro.
Really?
Yeah, it's a Western pro.
Because, like, you have a lot of... So there's like the schedule that you usually follow as a pro player, right? You have to come to the office at a certain time, and you have to like be there at least for a certain time, and then you leave, right?
Well, sometimes pro players are exempt from these rules, like the top ones. The top ones.
Oh yeah, like the stars.
The top ones.
People can come late. People can.
If it's mandatory that like everyone has to show up for a meeting, not mandatory for that person.
Yeah.
Is it mandatory to be awake by 12? They're still sleeping at 3.
Yeah.
Like it's because there's basically nothing that you can do because they're. I mean,
you can't bench them.
Well, you would think that
nowadays maybe this topic has changed.
Maybe
but yeah.